The struggle for commuters and businesses in the Western Cape continues as SANTACO has extended its stay away by 48 hours. The taxi umbrella body is seeking an urgent court interdict to compel the city of Cape Town to release impounded vehicles. 5 people have died since the stay away began last week. SANTACO is accusing the city of not being willing to resolve the impasse.
We consulted our members, and the mandate that we have is that we need to get that interdict before we go on the road, because remember what had been announced by J.P. Smith, that for every truck that has been banned, so he will be there to collect 25 vans. We don't want to therefore expose our members to such activity, because we were ready to go to the work as early as last week already, but due to their non-commitment, so we couldn't, and at this time we cannot afford to expose our members.
SANTACO explains its decision to withdraw from the minibus taxi task team, the task team which includes representatives from the taxi industry. The Western Cape government and the city of Cape Town was set up to address key issues.
The contents of the letter don't talk about resolving the impasse. They talk about drawing items for the agenda for the task team, of which we pulled out of the task team because we couldn't get anything from the government side and from the city out of the challenges that we highlighted to them. Hence we pulled out of the task team. How can they now, whilst we are in this problem, talk about the task team instead of resolving what is happening now? Hence we therefore decided to approach the court.
Listening in on that is Sandile Swana, a political analyst. Thank you very much, Mr. Swana, for your time this afternoon. Let's start by first maybe taking a listen at an impassioned Transport Minister, Sindisiwe Chikunga, addressing the issue of the impounding of taxis.
It cannot be that you're going to use anything in order to punish the taxi industry. They don't pay anything less than 2,500 each time the car is impounded. And yet, if you look at the conditions in their operating licenses, they're actually saying this car will be impounded at any time. You smoke in a car, they say. You are alone in a taxi and the driver is smoking. You shouldn't do that. But really, do you think that you should impound the car for that? The light is cracked. You impound the car for that? The car is fine. It's just a crack. Many of us will have even windscreens that are cracked. For whatever reason, a stone will crack your windscreen. Really? Impounding a car? So these are the things that they are saying, that they're actually happening. So the chances are that your car will be impounded at any time you leave the car. You leave your house.
Sandile Swana, the he says, she says, because National says, well, the city is not understanding the national law. Then the city says, well, National is not understanding. We are acting within the confines of the law. What has been your interpretation of developments as they've been happening in the city of Cape Town between the city and the SANTACO or the taxi industry?
I think that, thank you to Newzroom and your viewers. I think that first of all, we need to take comfort that SANTACO is going to court, where a number of these legal disputes, perhaps by lay people who don't even understand the law properly or don't even study it, are going to be set aside. But what we cannot run away from, and the ANC government has been avoiding this problem for the longest time, is that the taxi industry was inaugurated in South Africa in 1988 by F.W. de Klerk. It was released to us as a highly politicized industry, unregulated, totally unregulated until today, unscheduled. In other words, you can't go to the 8 o'clock taxi at a particular bus stop for the taxi. So, and it has a history of violence arson, destroying trains, destroying buses, and murder and other things that are very, very criminal. It has a criminal and mafia character. So it is no surprise that a city that is run according to the laws of South Africa is in conflict with the taxi industry in the Western Cape and in Cape Town, because the taxi industry wants to be above the laws of South Africa wherever they operate, and they want to be above everybody except that they will shoot you dead or burn your property.
Okay, let's take a look, listen at this moment, right? So the police minister, Bheki Cele, was giving an address, and right next to him was the mayor of the city of Cape Town, Jordan Hill Lewis. This is what they said.
The major conflict here is between the taxi association and the city. If those two don't come on the table, we're not going to be resolving this matter. We'll be wasting our resources and diverting our concentration of dealing with crime. Western Cape is one area that has been getting green for us for a very long time. It's been reducing crime here and all that. But since it started, there's been a head of upsurge. I was looking at the figures of the weekend. People here have been dying, and the car hijacking and everything has come back. That is besides the taxi industry. So the sooner they resolve, and everybody must come down on his high horse, and everybody must swallow his pride, everybody must stop arrogance, and this is happening not at the expense of those people that are refusing to resolve the matter.
However, I do take a point of difference respectfully with the minister when he says that we should be at the negotiating table. I think he says it best when he says that we should never negotiate with criminality. The fact is that the people that we are negotiating in a negotiating room, in a conference room, are the same people whose members are out in the streets causing incredible violence and mayhem and disruption to our city, and even murder. We remember specifically Officer Kwinana, who passed away this weekend at the hands of this taxi mafia. Now, it is not our approach, and we do not believe it is the right policy anywhere in South Africa, that you negotiate with people who are threatening you with violence and who are perpetrating violence right outside the door of the negotiating room.
Sandile Swana, you speak of a city that runs with the laws of South Africa. This is also a province that wants to break away and wants some form of independence from the Republic. Bheki Cele speaks of the most vulnerable that have been impacted by this impasse, where the city and SANTACO are not finding each other. Those people that you see being pulled from, or people inside the bus pulling people outside of the bus to jump through windows, quite literally, children who have not been going to school. What then is your assessment of some of also the historical problems that have plagued the Western Cape?
The problem, if I were to repeat it quite emphatically and clearly, is that the black majority of South Africa is being transported by taxis. There is no country that is serious about development that transport the mass of its workforce with a mass transit system that is not scheduled. It means running according to a timetable, that is not regulated, and that is not owned by the state. So de Klerk launched us into this chaos. This thing was chaotic from day one. There's nothing new here. So if the city of Cape Town has decided to bring an end to the mafia that has been running the taxi industry since 1988, and Bheki Cele, it's good for him to say he will not get involved, because I am yet to discover a place where the ANC government and Bheki Cele have actually stopped crime. They have not been able to stop the Zamazamas. They have not been able to stop killings, the political killings in KZN and this Zinkabi in KZN, and so many other things. They are just a failure. So that failure of Bheki Cele and the ANC government in power has resulted in some of the provinces, especially the Western Cape, saying some of the functions that we are unable to conduct, let us do them ourselves as a province. South Africa will remain a unitary state with federal features. There is no problem with that.
Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Sandile Swana is a political analyst.